Today is April the 8th, 6 months and 1 day after the massacre of October the 7th. And for some people, it's still October the 7th. It's just 180 days after October the 7th. And for some people, it just feels like forever. Some people were frozen in time. Some people feel like their whole world was destroyed. The Jewish people around the world has felt the effects, has felt the tragedy, has been mourning with everybody in Klal Yisrael. All the Jewish people together have been in mourning. But it's 6 months later, and what are we doing now about it? I still remember where I was on October 7th, like a lot of Jews, celebrating Simchat Torah, celebrating, and we were hearing, filtering, news were coming in, but obviously we didn't have our phones, so we didn't really know when we weren't in Israel, we were in America, the time difference, we were far, we didn't really know. We heard something had happened, we thought maybe a pigua, maybe another bombing, we didn't know. And that's why I say we just didn't know, and then when we found out, we couldn't believe it. And for the next few weeks, I don't think there was a Jew in the world that slept properly. I think everybody was like me, every single night, wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, check the news, again at 3 o'clock in the morning, check the news, and more information was coming through about what happened, and it was 800 people that had died. No, it was 900 people. Then it was 1,000 people, and you couldn't believe it, and 1,200 people. And then we were hearing about the atrocities that occurred, the rape and the torture and the burning and the beheading, and you couldn't absorb it. All you did was open your Tehillim and daven all day. And whatever you're doing, you just find yourself crying at random parts of the day, and you think, how could this be happening? How could this be happening to us? I grew up with a grandmother. My Oma had gone to Auschwitz, and she had a number on her arm. And I remember as a child, 8, 9, 10 years old, sitting on her lap, and she would tell me stories of what she went through. And I thought, this is history. It's not now, this is history. And she would tell me what she went through. And when I was younger, I couldn't really absorb it. But as I got older, I couldn't believe it. And the more we got educated about the Holocaust, and the more I sat with my grandmother, who was a witness, who it happened to her, and the more I absorbed of her story, the more I thought, this is never, ever going to happen to us again. It can't happen to us again. The whole world knew about it. It was so terrible, so bad, that nobody would ever dare do that again. We have witnesses, we have people that it happened to. And after October 7th happened, one of my own private thoughts was, I'm so happy my grandmother is not alive to see this. This had destroyed her. Like it's destroying all of us. And what did we do? Jewish people are the best in crisis. We came together like a family who've been feuding for hundreds of years, but we came together, right? And it was inspirational. There was parts of that was inspirational. Every day I would show my kids videos of Jewish people coming together, hugging each other, giving to each other, the chesed, the kindness, the outpouring. עם ישראל חי, בעליות בירידות, גם בשעות הכי קשות, הקדוש ברוך הוא שומר עלינו, אז מי יכול עלינו? כי אין לנו עוד מדינה, תעשה שלום בינינו, שמור על ילדינו, כי לא עבדה האמונה. The millions of dollars that were donated, the people who were buying helmets and army gear, and people who were sending duffel bags on every plane that was going to Israel with supplies, any supplies you need. Tell us the list of supplies you need, we'll send it to you. You need socks, you need shoes, you need helmets, we'll bring you everything. My father told me a story. Apparently, there's a company in Australia that makes the most amazing bulletproof vests. And there was a very wealthy man in the community in Australia a few days after the war broke out, a few days after October the 7th, who decided he's going to buy all the available vests, bulletproof vests and send it to the army in Israel. So he calls up the company and says, how many vests can I buy? What do you have in stock? If it's 50,000, whatever you have, I want to buy the whole thing. He said, you're too late. Some other Jewish person called us yesterday and they bought every single bulletproof vest we have, and we're already packing it up and sending it to Israel. You're too late. Somebody else thought of it a day before you. Because really, when we're in crisis, when we understand that the Jewish people are attacked as a whole, we come together. And when we're together, we're the most powerful. Everybody knows that. When we're together, we're unbreakable. In fact, when Klal Yisrael, when the Jewish people are together, we have this protection from Hashem. We're ke'ish echad, belev echad, like when we stood under Har Sinai and we gained the protection from Hashem, and we decided, if the whole world is against us, but we are united, nothing can touch us, and that is true. But now it's 6 months and 1 day later, and for some families who don't have their loved ones back, this is going on forever, and for some families who have lost loved ones, this is something they'll mourn for always. But for lots of people, it's now 6 months later, and we have to get on with real life, whatever that real life is. But we are now in a whole new reality. Once you experience something, there's no going back. You can only move forward. And we, as a Jewish people, have experienced a tragedy like we have not seen since the Holocaust. And because of that, we're now changed people. But what are we going to do with all that change? Or how can we make sure that we're impacted and that the impact leads to a growth, or that leads to some greatness within the Jewish people? What is this? So I think that one of the answers is this. We know when people are out to kill the Jewish people, they don't care how Jewish you are. This has been well documented in the Holocaust, all the pogroms that we've experienced. They don't care if you say, no, I've decided I'm no longer a Jew, I'll convert to Christianity, or really I never lived like a Jew. They're going to kill you anyway. Because once you're a Jew, and they're coming to get you, and they don't care how Jewish you are or not. And therefore, one of the things I was thinking is that what we can take from this terrible tragedy, besides for look how Jewish people can behave when we're united, look how powerful we can be when we're united. Wouldn't that be so wonderful if we could set aside all our fights and be united again? And look what the Jewish people look like, and isn't this a beautiful sight to see? I was showing my kids these videos and I was saying, this is what the Jewish people look like. If you want to know what the Jewish people look like, this is what they look like. Holding hands, helping each other, being there for each other, not judging one another. This is what the Jewish people look like. But for everybody who never felt they were part of the Jewish people, or don't know what being a Jew means, now is the moment that you should start looking and understanding and learning what it is to be a Jew. If somebody wants to kill you for it, then you should find out why you would live for it. If there are people, and it's not only in Israel, we can see from all the anti-Semitism on all the campuses, it is everywhere. It is in London, it is in America, it's in Europe, it's in Australia. You cannot get away from it everywhere. They are chanting death to the Jews. So how can we become more connected to our Jewishness? I think to myself, if they are willing to climb over a fence and kill the babies in their beds, who don't even know that they're Jewish, who have never done a mitzvah in their life, who don't understand the Jewishness, and if there are people around the world who feel disconnected from their Jewishness, know that when they're out to kill all the Jews, they're not going to ask you, how religious were you? Did you keep the Sabbath? Did you keep kosher? They're not going to ask you, but you should ask that to yourself. You should say to yourself, what do I know about my Jewishness? What do I know about relationship with God? What do I know about the Torah? How can I step up my game? They are stepping up their game by chanting death threats in the streets and not getting arrested for it. And it could be that they're coming to get us. But if somebody is coming to get you for something, then you should be able to know what that something is. What is so important? What is so threatening to non-Jewish people that they want to kill us just for being Jewish? Why am I a threat to somebody else? What is so holy and special about me? And how can I reconnect with that? I want to connect with my higher self. I want to connect so much with my Jewishness. The more they chant death to the Jews, the more I want to think, what kind of Jew am I? And how can I be even more Jewish? And I think that this is something that should inspire us and we should aspire to, so that we can really be able to face them and say, you want to kill me for being a Jew? I know what it is to be a Jew. I love being a Jew. I'm a proud Jew. I'm not a Jew that's hiding behind the corner. I'm not a Jew that's passing myself off as something else. I'm a proud Jew, and I stand for what is peaceful. I stand for justice. I stand for kindness. I stand for goodness. I stand for faith. Make sure you know what you stand for, so that when you're standing in front of somebody who's chanting that they want your death, you know why you're alive and what your purpose is.